Hear that? Believe it or not, summer is just around the corner. Luckily, Armor All, America's most trusted auto appearance brand, has what your car needs to get that perfect summer shine. Plus, now through May 31st, we'll give you $5 for every $20 you spend on Armor All products. That means car wash pods, protectant, tire shine, you name it. Find out how to get your $5 rebate at armorall.com. Armor All, less work, more clean. Terms apply.
Rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast. Alrighty, guys, welcome to another edition of the Patriot Angle Podcast. This is Unfiltered, Wild Friday, streaming live on Twitch, as well as our Facebook page, the Patriot Angle Podcast. Excuse me, where's the words tonight, right? Also, will be formatted into our audio version shortly after this live stream on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasting. Going to want to check that out, guys, for some much added material into that show. Welcome, guys. Open Forum Friday as well as Wild Friday here on Unfiltered. Bring in the comments, bring in your concerns, bring in anything that you deserve and think that should be on tonight's show. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another edition of the Patriot Angle Podcast. Let's get the show started. Huh? Let's get it started.
It has a lot of benefits.
That's good. Just
sure.
well, I hope you identify yourself as a man, because we wouldn't want you walking into like a woman's restroom or something. You know what I mean?
No. Not without an invite, Michael.
Oh no, you gotta watch your company that has facial bathrooms.
And I'm sure Nicole wouldn't want you walking into a woman's restroom either. You know?
Yeah, no.
Nobody's surprised me anymore.
Women that, plowed through this parade of people.
Then he gets out of the hospital and he talks about, don't worry, it's all going to be over soon. Come on.
Having a good relationship with leaders of other countries
we have a lot of questions to get to.
Now,
Your response.
we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told him to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a fog.
Exactly.
It helps with anxiety. It helps with cancer patients who are eating. Come on. Wheat doesn't make people.
Nicole, I got to get you an anchor on this show or something. Jesus Christ.
Come on.
Yeah.
I know they're back.
Yeah. Well, let's get the insights here.
A little more distinctive, so it was about becoming more distinctive. And I then created several other groups revolving around the NJ Musicians family. So besides NJ Musicians Wanted, there's also NJ Musicians Events, NJ Musicians Gear. So if you want to buy and sell stuff, that's available.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome, guys. We are live on Twitch as well as Facebook. Our Facebook page, the Patriot Angle Podcast. Guys, this is Patriot Angle Unfiltered, Wild Friday. Coming at ya. All right, guys, let's get the show started. Let's get the blood flowing. Let's make some bad decisions. Well, hopefully not bad decisions, on good ones, right? Anyway, guys, welcome to today's show. Guys, I want to get I want to touch on a lot of different things, all right? I want to touch on a lot of different things. I want to get into just what's going on with the with just about everything in the political specter, so to speak. Like I said, guys, for those who's joining in on the stream, thank you for joining in. This is audio only on Friday here, March 4th. March 4th. Wow. Already in March already. Fucking month. I mean, I'm telling you guys, it's like going like hotcakes. Those who are in, leave on the comments here. Show some love. Show some appreciation. You can follow me on Twitch at US Patriot Unfiltered. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, guys. Where do we start? Where the hell do we start? Well, I want to get into this one article here coming out of Uber and Lyft. You know, that just kind of struck the nerve, so to speak. Just what's going on with ride sharing. I'm seeing a lot of more assaults on the drivers. Literally, drivers are being more assaulted than ever before in their ride-sharing service that they, pretty much serve the community, so to speak, right? We did see a boom with ride-sharing in the last, 10, possibly, almost 15 years now, right? With Uber and Lyft literally dominating the taxi business in America. But we're starting to see a lot more basically assaults on the drivers. And why is that? You want to blame it on alcohol. You want to blame it on, just asshole passengers. Some probably have a bad day. You don't know what the hell's going on in their, fucked up mindset. Right. But yeah, man, we're getting to see a lot of reports coming out, all over the country on assaults on ride-sharing drivers. Now, why am I talking about this on the show? Well, I could tell you why, okay? It needs to be talked about, and it needs to be taken care of. Local mayors, state governors, local leadership, whether it's law enforcement, whatever, the sheriff's office, they need to look into this matter a little bit more serious. Okay? Because, not only do these people, folks, sign up for these services, as drivers, they sign up, right? They're putting their lives on the line every single day, to provide this excellent service to their community, and a lot of criticism comes under play with, with this service, a lot of it, a lot of people are starting to, complain about the prices. If anybody realized, about the prices, they're going up in ride sharing. Uber and Lyft are, they're raising their prices up. And, you can't really get mad about that, folks. You really can't, because the reason behind all this, and I'll explain it here on today's show, the reason behind all of this is because of what's going on with our society, with our inflation. Our inflation is out of fucking control. It's out of control. We're seeing inflation at historic highs. And I've mentioned that several times on the show. Several times. So, a lot of it has to do with the inflation. A lot of it has to do with gas prices going up. Gas is shit in some areas, $4 or $5 a freaking gallon. Especially our folks up in New York City. They're paying almost $5 a gallon, I'm told, by some friends and family members that live in the tri-state area of New Jersey and New York. So you got to blame it on that. You really can't complain. For one, there is a big comparison, and I'll compare this any day of the week, any month of the year. Uber and Lyft is still, even though the prices are rising, there's surge pricing and everything like that with certain special events, concerts, sporting events in town. So yeah, you're always going to see the normal surge of prices there. Don't get me wrong, but even though the prices are high now with ride sharing, guys, it is still low compared to, all the yellow cabbies out there, right? Because by the end of the day, the end of the night, whatever, guys, you had that fun time out on the town with your buddies, you had a few drinks. What are you going to do? Are you going to order an Uber or a Lyft, or are you going to flag down that old school yellow cabbie that's probably going to charge you about 50 to 60 bucks just to go a few miles down the road, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. But what it doesn't come down to is these drivers that not only put their lives on the line every single day by picking up perfect strangers that they don't even know and probably will never meet ever again in their life. They have to put up with assholes that take advantage of them and literally abuse the hell out of them. Now, we're talking about this comment today. I want to get some comments that are coming in today, with this comment here, with this topic, right? About, ride sharing. Maybe you had a bad experience, as a passenger with a driver, acting the same way as if a passenger would act. Maybe you had that experience. If you want to share it on the show, by all means, go ahead. Hit it in the comment box here. We are live on Twitch, and we are also live on our Facebook page, the Patriot Angle Podcast. Those who are tuning into the live stream, thank you very much. And those who will be tuning into the audio versions later on after this broadcast is over on Spotify, Google, and Apple, thank you very much for your support and your following. Much appreciation. Guys, I can't say much about that. I love to see the comments, the feedback. I mean, we get a lot of feedback on our shows, through Instagram, through Facebook, all the group pages that we promote this podcast on. So thank you very much for all your great feedback, whether it's whatever feedback. I mean, I welcome all feedback, negative, positive, neutral. It doesn't matter, guys. I welcome it all. So thank you very much for commenting on the content that we share into this page, this podcast, this platform, this show, however you want to look at it as. So thank you for expressing not only your comments, but your love as well. Guys, I want to take a quick little break here. But I want to get back into this topic here of the ride-sharing industry and other industries related to that. Guys, I'm going to take a quick little break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these short words from Hulu.
Hulu has live TV? Hulu has live sports?
They do.
Hulu has live news?
That is correct. And Hulu also has
live talent. Sure.
It also has over 75 live channels.
Flip like cable, stream like Hulu. Time to have Hulu plus live TV.
All righty, guys. Welcome back to the show of shows. Streaming live on Twitch at US Patriot Unfiltered. Affiliation with our main podcast on Spotify, Google, and Apple, the Patriot Angle Podcast, as well as the Patriot Brief bonus shows on Spotify, guys. Thank you for tuning in, however you're viewing us, wherever you're viewing us, and what other part of the world you may be viewing us on, whether it is in the UK, Canada, anywhere on the face of this earth. Thank you for viewing on the live channel today, or the audio version later on this evening. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about the ride-sharing service, where it's at now. You're right. I mean, we're in 2022, right? The ride-sharing service has taken a huge boom, and not only in the taxi industry, but just set aside its own industry, so to speak, of ride-sharing. I'll admit, guys, on the show, I have taken advantage of the low prices, whether it's on Lyft or through the Uber apps. I love it. I love seeing that, first of all, I love seeing that I know who's going to be picking me up. I love seeing that you have a picture on the app of the driver and the license plate number for security purposes. I love it. I love seeing that. Now, are you going to see that with a regular yellow cabbie? Most likely not, because they still use the old terminology of how yellow cabs were first designed and operated. I mean, you can look at the taxi business in America dates back all the way to the early 1900s. I mean, so they still operate on that old traditional form of ways, operating a yellow cab. So, I mean, with Uber and Lyft, I just love there's so much of a difference, not only of the pricing, but, the security features. You know who's picking you up. You have their first name. You have the license plate number. You have the make and model of the car. I mean, almost sounds like an insurance company, right? But I mean, you have that for your added personal security. God forbid something were to happen. You got into a freaking car accident. The fucking car blew up in flames. You could get robbed. Anything can fucking happen in that time frame. God forbid it did, right? I mean, we wouldn't want that to happen. But it's nice. It's nice to see those perks on the app. And, we're starting to see a lot more added features with Uber and Lyft, with, constant added security. A lot of it is now linked to local police departments and sheriff offices, state police, all different types of emergency personnel is linked to those apps. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think that they're getting into a car and there's nothing added. The service, the app, they're not linking themselves to these emergency responders, which absolutely is incorrect. I mean, if you look on the apps now, there has been so much added security with these apps. It's crazy, and I love it. I love that we see that every single day. I love seeing it every single day. I love knowing that, hey, there's security there. You might get dealt with, an asshole driver or, before when the app first started, it was designed for single riders and then they branched into the shared rides. Slowly, we're starting to get back into the shared rides, which I used to love doing the shared rides, especially after a night on town, meeting with the guys, having a few drinks. I ordered the shared ride, because sometimes I just didn't feel like paying full price for it. So I would share it with the other people there. The only downside about that I did not like, it would usually take like a little bit extra time getting home. Like normally it would be like a 10-15 minute Uber ride. Normally that 10-15 minute Uber ride would go into, a fucking, 20, 30, 40 minute Uber ride, depending on how many other, passengers they had to pick up along that route. Which the other good part of that feature, and I hope they bring that back because I'm not seeing that on the app, is the dedicated route. What they would do is if you were, say, getting picked up from like Ted's Bar or something, I'm just using this for example, you're getting picked up at Ted's Bar, they would pick you up first or second or however it would go, and then everybody that was literally getting picked up and dropped off would be on that same route. I loved how Uber did that. Not so much Lyft. Didn't see so much of that with Lyft because Lyft did have the shared rides, before COVID, pre-COVID, right? But Uber had a lot more, features on that one feature of the shared rides. So, I want to see the shared rides get back. I think it's a lifesaver, and it's also a price saver, on the individual's wallet. But we're talking a lot about the ride sharing industry today, where it's going, doing a little bit something different today. If you guys know me, most of my listeners and followers on social media will say the same thing. Michael, he's always talking about politics, but if you have been paying attention to quite recently on my episodes, I've been branching into other avenues, not only politics, but branching into other avenues, right? So, which is great. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting into other lines of conversation, which I think makes a podcast unique today. You know, especially your Joe Rogans, your Michael Savages, all these great podcast hosts, right? They talk about everything. They don't always talk about politics. They don't always talk about, sports. They talk about, whatever is buzzing or whatever's on their mind. And I think that's what, separates a podcast versus a talk show. It's unique, it's awesome. So, definitely we're going to be branching into other lines of conversation here on the podcast. Those who know me personally know I can talk your ear off just about whatever, whether it's politics, sports, science, general talk, culture. I love talking about everything. I love art. For those who don't know me personally or gotten to know me, I love art, all forms of art. Hell, I even love girly art sometimes. I mean, people are going to be like, what, Mike? We fucking you love girl. Yeah. A good friend of mine, Heather, got me a poster, which I have on the back of the one side of my of the room that I use the podcasting in. And I've had that on like two or three of my Twitch streams. So, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Art is art, no matter how you look at it. Art is art, and I love it. I love it. I'm going to be doing some more shows on art in the near future. I got a good friend of mine that loves art, so I'm going to have her on my show, not knowing when. We haven't really talked about a date of when she would be available to come on the show. But definitely going to have her on the show soon. Pretty much shooting the shit on art, right? Haven't really done a podcast episode, whether it was on Spotify, Google, or Apple, or even Twitch yet, on art. And speaking of Twitch, we are fairly new to Twitch, guys. Fairly new. I think this marks like episode like 4 or 5 on Twitch. Which we're going to get more into Twitch. I love the features. I love the bits. And guys, if you're new to Twitch, download it, follow me on Twitch at US Patriot Unfiltered. You're going to find a lot of good content on here. I'm a podcaster, and I'll tell you, I started out with Spotify, branched over to Google and Apple, and just about on every podcast platform of the network there, all over the place, wherever you hear a podcast, basically on. Also, too, guys, I got a new book out, Can America Survive After Biden? It is exclusively only sold on the Amazon Kindle app and Amazon itself. So if you search Can America Survive After Biden, it'll pop right up. Doing very, very well on the platform. Thank you for those who bought the book. Thank you. It is a short book. It's not long. It's very easy. It's very simple to read. A lot of great content on that book. And it's really reasonably priced. Kept it at $4.99 for everybody to afford. And it's a great book. It's full of knowledge. It's full of very, very useful information. Kind of how I use the word useful. A lot of great information on that book that I just wrote and published through Amazon Kindle Publishing. So thank you to our friends at Amazon Kindle Publishing for allowing us to sell the book on your platform and also in your company as well as Amazon. So thank you very much. Check out the book today, guys. Can't say much about it more. It's a great book. Back to the show. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the ride-sharing service, the goods, the bads, the ups and downs. Maybe you had a personal experience with the platforms, whether it was Lyft or Uber. You want to share it on the podcast, go ahead. This is open forum tonight on Unfiltered Crazy Friday, or excuse me, Wild Friday, right? I got to get my show right. Yeah. Wild Friday. We used to be Crazy Friday, but we changed it. It's Wild Friday. So, yeah, Unfiltered Wild Friday. It's been a long day, guys. I do apologize. Been a long day. Been all over the fucking place today. So, Unfiltered Wild Friday. Yes, guys. Check us out on Fridays for only audio. This is only an audio stream. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we do the video streams on Twitch and on Facebook. But tonight is only audio formats. I like to mix it up a little bit. I like to change the avenues, so to speak, on Twitch. You know, a lot of people don't like video podcasting or video streams. I get it. A lot of people just prefer the audio streams. So that's why I like to do it. I like doing things that matches the audience preference. That's what's great about my show. I don't always do what I want to do. I do what you guys want to do. I give you content that you might want to hear or may interest you, right? So tonight we're talking about ride sharing. Why am I talking about it? Quite easy, okay? And simple too to explain. I had a listener the other day that emailed me through our personal email, Patriot Unfiltered 1776 at yahoo.com. And basically, I'm not going to say the person's name for their privacy security, right? I never give out people's names on the show because, you know, that one, that's not cool. And two, you shouldn't do that on any show. But I had a listener the other day email me and said, you know, Michael, you should be talking about the latest gossip on ride sharing. And I was like, I'm replying back. I mean, we literally were replying back as if it was a fucking, you know, instant message or something on Facebook or texting. I mean, I must have had like, oh God, at least like 40 replies to this email. I was ready just to like say, you know, just text me or something. You know what I mean? But you know, hey, it's okay. So, you know, this listener was emailing me about, you know, Michael, you should be discussing the latest gossip on the ride sharing industry, Uber and Lyft. And I'm like replying back, go ahead. Like what should I be talking about? And they're like, you should be talking about like, you know, where it's going. And, you know, there's so many like accusations coming out there with, you know, passengers abusing the drivers and, you know, damn near like assaulting them and this and that. And, you know, I think it's important that you should talk about it because the mainstream media is not even touching on this. And I thought a lot about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should talk about this. I think it would be a very, very unique, interesting topic to discuss on the show. I've never really got into ride sharing. Kind of touched on it a little bit, you know, in past episodes, but never really got into it, you know, as a host. I never really, you know, touched on the importance, the features, the, you know, like I said, the ups and downs about the industry. Never really got into the topic, so to speak, into depth. So I took his consideration to, you know, a top standard, which I always do. I always listen to my listeners. I always listen to the followers on social media. And I put it into consideration. Sometimes, you know, I get emails that listeners email me, you know, and some of my followers on social media will email me or comment on a certain, whether it's material I post on social media or a topic. And some are positive and some are negative. You know, I do get negative feedback. Don't get me wrong. I do. Sometimes I get a lot of negative feedback, and you're going to get negative feedback, whether you're a streamer, a podcast host, a content creator, whatever. You're always going to get that negative feedback. It's not always going to be sunshines and rainbows. Don't get me wrong. I've had a lot of, you know, negative feedback on my show. And some of it, I kind of took to the heart in the beginning of my show when I first started out about 3 years ago, you know, on Anchor, which is a broadcasting network through Spotify. Still use Anchor to this day. Love them. I love that it's an awesome platform. It's growing at like crazy rates. lot of people are getting into Anchor. A lot of newbies, a lot of amateurs are using Anchor to broadcast their content, their material off of. And there's a lot of professional, whether they're podcast hosts or, content creators, a lot of people use Anchor. Shit, I've seen gamers off of Twitch here even using Anchor to literally sideline their audio podcast through Anchor. And that's great, keep it coming, but I decided to use this type of material that this listener emailed me on the ride sharing service. And, I wanted to bring it into today's show. There's a lot of abuse coming into ride sharing, a lot. We're seeing a lot of it. We're seeing assault after assault. Literally just earlier today, I read an article of this driver literally getting his head bashed in what was it? Downtown Tampa over in Florida, literally picking up a customer. And I guess the customer had like way too much to drink. It happens, it happens. And, the driver literally, I mean, his head, I mean, they showed pictures on this article, that was submitted through, what the hell was, I gotta go back to the article. Bear with me, guys. I got the article right next to me. Yeah. The article was coming out of, Hillsborough, the main, one of the main newspapers there, of this driver literally assaulted by one of the passengers that he picked up. And that's terrible. My hearts go off to this driver. I mean, that should have never happened. Never happened. Which the only thing I should suggest to ride sharing, especially ride sharing apps such as Lyft and Uber, when this stuff happens, they should have a driver should either do these one or two options. And I think the ride sharing services, the companies, they should supply this to their drivers, like absolutely free. They shouldn't even charge their freaking drivers for this. They should have like these, like a hard plastic sort of, partition wall, sort of like how they have in like yellow cabs. You remember the yellow cabs back in the day, guys, where they had like, and they still have to this day, a lot of like inner cities like New York, Chicago, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Dallas, all these major, New York City, right? I said that, I think. They should have these, all major inner cities should have these partition walls for their drivers, whether it's Uber or Lyft. I think it would be a great idea. Not only would it cut down like vulgar language, it would cut down like criminal activity that's going on. It would cut down so much, including assaults on their drivers. I think it would be an excellent idea for the ride sharing companies to do this. I think it would be remarkable. They should take care of their drivers. No doubt about it. They should take care of their drivers, and that should be that. Or the drivers should have these mobile partition walls. That way it's easy to get up and it's easy to take down. Because don't get me wrong, man. If in the afternoon, I don't think it really would be necessary unless you're driving in like a really, really, a tough area. You're driving through the hood or you're driving through the fucking projects. I can understand. I'm not criticizing. Please don't think I'm criticizing. I'm not criticizing. But sometimes, you drive through a bad neighborhood that's not like a safe neighborhood. It's not like driving through, Pleasantville or something. You know what I mean? You're driving through a bad neighborhood. Yeah, you might want to consider on having a partition wall. Maybe your door's locked all the time. Maybe you just don't want to go through that neighborhood. I wouldn't want to go through that neighborhood too as a driver. But I think it's a good idea to also have these partition walls easily taken down if needed. You know what I mean? Where they can just real quick, and then just take it down when it's not necessary. But like after hours of like 8:30, 9 p.m., you know what I mean? Yeah, they should be put up, for not only the driver's safety, but the passenger safety. You know, I mean, what if you pick up a complete nut job and, you know, he or she starts like fucking like hurting herself or hurting himself? Yeah, you should have that up. No doubt about it. So should safety be introduced to either Lyft or Uber more now? Yes, especially in our society. It should be added up more than ever. Safety should be implemented in Lyft and Uber more than ever. And I mean, the reason why I'm saying this is because it's not looked at a lot. You know, even the general media, you know, whether it's CNN or Fox or whatever network that you usually tune into, they never talk about the safety implements on ride sharing services such as Uber and Lyft. It's never talked about. Never. They're always talking about the same shit, right? The same garbage that you literally are probably getting tired of hearing. Biden this, Biden that, you know, Ukraine this, Ukraine that, COVID this, COVID that. You're always hearing the same garbage. But are you ever hearing about stuff that should be talked about? You know, like crime is going down in New York, or, you know, gas pricing is cheaper now than it was this and that. You never hear that. You always hear the same garbage, the same runaround, right? You always hear it. So should safety be implemented in Uber and Lyft? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You want to get in the next Uber and Lyft knowing that safety features are implemented? I do. I want to get into an Uber or Lyft knowing that my safety is going to be put at all-time highs, right? I want to know. Okay? I want to know. I want to know that I'm going to get into that next car at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it is during that day. I want to know that my safety is put first and not last. I want to know that. I want to know that. Guys, I want to get into another sponsor here that sponsors the show. Great friends at Blip Billboards. What is Blip Billboards? Well, I'll tell you guys. Blip Billboards is a digital billboard company that advertises to their clients or customers at really historic lows. It's super affordable. They have so many different options on their website. Check them out, guys. If you're thinking about looking for a billboard to advertise your next business project or your business itself, whether you're a podcast host, a content creator, a Twitch streamer even, or maybe you just have that individual business. You're a hair salon stylist, right? You clean cars as a car or truck detailer, whatever. You're a music producer, whatever. The list goes on. I just don't have enough time to talk about it on the show, but you get my drift, right? Look to Blip Billboards. They're great, guys. You can advertise as little as $1 a day. You heard me. $1 a day. It's great. I use it for the show from time to time when I want to get the extra the boof out there, right? Use Blip Billboards. I'm telling you guys, use them. Advertise as $1 a day, all the way up to the amount that you're comfortable of paying. It reaches not only hundreds, but thousands of potential new clients or customers for your line of business, no matter what line of business you are in business in. Use Blip Billboards. You'll love it, guys. They're all over the place. They are in Tampa, Florida, Orlando, Florida, Miami, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, New York City. I've seen them in Atlanta, Georgia. I've seen them in Athens, Georgia. I've seen them in Nashville, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, California. Every major city, even Chicago, Illinois. They're branching all over the place, guys. Blip Billboards. You're going to love them. You want customers now? Look to Blip Billboard, guys, because that's what Blip Billboard does. It makes the affordability easy on you. Can't post too much about Blip. Love them, guys. Love them. So, back to the show, guys. We're back to the show. I want to close it out here soon with basically the topic of today that we're discussing, which is the Lyft, the Uber business, the safety implements that should be implemented into their company, and knowing that you're getting into a safe ride. Before I close it out, guys, I want to thank anybody that did tune into the Patriot Angle podcast. We're live on Twitch. You can find me on Twitch at US Patriot Unfiltered. Plugged it into the show just now. Thank you, guys. This is Unfiltered with Michael Gardner, guys. So as I close it out here, we got about another minute or two left on the show. I want to say thank you again. I can't say thank you more than enough. After this show is over, guys, it will be formatted into its Spotify, Google, and Apple audio podcast shortly after this. So thank you, guys. Thank you. The following is awesome. I love seeing different types of angles of views and opinions to my material or content. So thank you. Can't say thank you more than enough. I'm so grateful that I have people that actually, love to hear, what I express on the shows, So guys, my last comment here, or my last statement here on this topic, right? I'm going to close it out of, should Lyft and Uber or any ride sharing business implement safety a little bit more? Should we have those partition walls that separates the driver and the passenger? I think we should. Should we have more law enforcement being involved in busy areas that not only protects the ride-sharing driver, but also the passenger too? Absolutely yes. Should there be more time restrictions on the service? That would be a hard question, because now you're basically saying that you're going to restrict it from only hours to hours to hours. That would be kind of hard, guys. Should there be a lot more into the service? Absolutely. But time will only tell. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in today, and we will see you this Tuesday. This Tuesday, we're inviting Grace Hung from Lotus Coaching and Healing back on the show for part 2 of the episode I had on my show from episode 209 with her. You're going to want to check that out. It will be an awesome show, a very much rather interesting show. We will be streaming live on Twitch on that show, as well as Facebook and YouTube, our YouTube channel, the Patriot Angle Podcast. So it'll be viewed just about all over the place. And also it will be formatted into our audio podcast, Spotify, Google, and Apple later that evening. So you're going to want to check that show out. Grace Hung coming back to the show for part 2, possibly a series. Don't know yet. Got to see how it, works out to its angles, so to speak. Right, guys? So with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Patriot Angle Podcast, Unfiltered, live on Twitch. Thank you very much. And we will hope to see you this Tuesday evening with Grace Hung on the show. Thanks a lot, guys.
You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.